This year we decided go to 5 to 8 because it enables us to have a more wholesome experience in a way. You know, it starts sort of in the late afternoon, so we can get those Ibiza sunset vibes throughout the night. It becomes more and more banging. I'm really looking forward to playing outside and the inside, and we continue until the morning hours.
I know you've been up to 5 to 8. They've really upgraded it though, haven't they? They've done a fantastic job.
Been there before, I saw it, I felt it, and so I knew this is a good place for us to do shine.
This year, they've developed the indoor venue that goes on pretty much all night. And you've got such a big lineup that it's just going to be fantastic musically from the start to the end. I've read comments in Facebook and they've literally been comparing it to Space Terrace. You know, no phones, people going crazy. Had a lot of accolades this year. Paul, it is lovely to have you here today. I really thank you for sparing the time.
Thank you for having me.
I've got to ask, you seem like you've been around forever. And just to begin with, how did you get into music? I don't know much about your background.
Well, I grew up in East Berlin, in East Germany. So I was fortunate enough to listen to the West Berlin radio stations. And I was, like 11 years old or something. And I heard a band called The Smiths and their first single, Hand in Glove. And that was for me the ultimate opening into the world of music. It was like the first time I realized music has so much more to give than just that noise in the background while people do whatever they do. And so I've been a massive fan of The Smiths ever since. But more generally speaking, a big music lover. And then obviously I discovered electronic music in the sort of late 80s. And when the war went down, I went to all the clubs in Berlin and fell in love even more with electronic music.
So what were your biggest influences back then, music-wise?
Well, I think it's like obviously I was sort of like very inspired by those like 80s electronic acts like Depeche Mode, Yazoo, this sort of stuff. But I really also enjoyed like the early sort of like housey kind of stuff by Ron Trent as an example. So like stuff like this that sort of had more of a, let's say, an audible landscape to provide rather than just, a heavy beat or something. And other than that, it's like this is like always sounds like weird, but we really had to make the music we wanted to listen to. It simply didn't exist. We were inspired by our own ideas, by our own craving for that sound.
This is very familiar. I spoke to a good friend of yours 2 days ago, John 00 Fleming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to John for an hour and a half about this
Oh.
topic. We had a great chat. And he's been in the industry for 40 years. And he was saying exactly the same thing, that we had to make it up as we were going along because it didn't exist. So it was very, very similar. So I identify with what you were saying. So with the DJ side of things, that was just developing as well, wasn't it? That whole route into DJing as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as I mentioned, I went to all the clubs. I saw other DJs doing their things, but I still had a very, like, kind of my own idea how electronic music should sound. And I went to record stores. I found those records, and I made tapes for myself and some friends, and basically, was just like listening to the stuff in the cars when we went to parties. One of my friends actually passed on one of my tapes that we've been listening to in the car to the people at the doors of Tresor just after it opened in Berlin. And they thought, wow, this is different. This is something we would like to have here. And so I was contacted, and this is how I had my very, very first performance in the famous Tresor.
You know, we could talk about your history and your journey through dance music forever, and I think that would be a different podcast. But today, I want to talk to you about Ibiza, which I was speaking to Nick today, and it's like, oh, you do realize you're coming over next week, Dexter? And I was like, what? It's really crept up on us fast, you know?
Yeah.
And do you remember when you first came over to Ibiza? What year that was?
I think the very first time I came to Ibiza was either 98 or 99. I was playing for Renaissance at Pacha, actually. I think that was the very first time I ever went to Ibiza and the very first time I played there.
Yep, we're similar, very similar. I remember those days very, very well. And obviously, over the last few years, what was the inspiration behind Shine? Because Shine is at 5 at Ibiza this year. When did it
Yes.
start, and why did it start?
Well, the thing is, obviously, you mentioned Nick before, who's like, a dear friend, and I don't know, it's like, meanwhile, he's like an institution on the island in terms of like, promoting events and putting on shows. And he used to run Cream for a very, very long time at Amnesia. And then suddenly Cream decided they don't want to actually kind of, let's say, follow their roots anymore, where they come from, and basically putting on shows that are based around a music lover and the audience that comes and loves the music, but wanted to go to other venues that are more about popping champagne bottles, doing this and that. And we were left with the decision, what are we going to do? Because um, I am for sure, Nick for sure. We are all about the music. We are all about putting on something where people take an experience home and not just a headache from too much alcohol. And so, therefore, we were like thinking, so what are we going to do? So we came up with the idea, why don't we do something that sort of like basically cares about the essence of what Ibiza clubbing is all about? Coming together with friends, with cool people, tolerant, respectful, and listening to the best possible electronic dance music you can have. And that's what we actually like put on the plate. We call it Shine because everyone that comes is a star in their own mind, in their own way. And so it's like, we all come there to shine. So that's the name. And it's like through the last years, we obviously we partnered with the club. We did kind of like a full-on season for the last years. We had the pandemic having a bit of a let's say problematic sort of like scenario, like for everyone. And yeah, and then this year we decided to kind of like create some kind of weekend out of it, and also kind of like to change things up, go to 5 to 8, because it enables us to have a more wholesome experience in a way. It starts sort of in the late afternoon, so we can get those Ibiza sunset vibes. Obviously, throughout the night, it becomes more and more banging. I'm really looking forward to playing outside. And then pretty much, like a changeover at the festival. This time is not that the act is being changed at the stage, just the audience is changing about 100 meters to the right or to the left, and the inside, and we continue until the morning hours.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've been up to 5 to 8. Did you go up to 5 to 8 when it was the old venue, Benamusa, the zoo? In the
I've been there. I've been there before. I saw it. I felt it, and so I knew this is a good place for
There's an
us to
energy
do
there,
Shine.
isn't there? But what do you
It
think?
is.
They've really upgraded it, though, haven't they? They've done a fantastic job. And to be honest, even though Universe opened this year and took a lot of the headlines, and 5 to 8 has taken a lot of headlines this year. It's been a real talking point, and some of the atmospheres they've had on that outdoor terrace. I've read comments in Facebook, and they've literally been comparing it to Space Terrace. No phones, people going crazy. And so, yeah, it's had a lot of accolades this year. So I'm really looking forward, because there's a good bunch of people coming over this year around that week,
No,
isn't there?
absolutely. And I can tell you, the whole team, every of my DJ colleague on the lineup, we are all like fired up for it. We're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to actually bring the essence of music Ibiza,
Yeah,
to 5 to 8 on that day.
because I know you do Shine all over the world, don't you?
Yes.
What makes it different in Ibiza?
Well, it's kind of where it started. You
Yeah.
know, it's like where the roots are. It's like, as an example, when I play a set at Shine, it's um, a bit more uplifting, a bit more summary, a bit more. I want to say positive, because I think whenever I play, it's very positive and exciting. But it has that extra thing, and it also enables me to play some of those heroic tunes that have been made and broken in Ibiza. And this is something that I'm really looking forward to. And so we bring that concept as well to other places. Like next weekend, we're going to be in Nottingham, as an example. Or is it not next weekend? Well, the weekend after next weekend.
You
So,
must get
uh,
confused with your
yeah,
schedule.
it's
Yeah.
so. And you know, we've been in Dubai with Shine. We had our own Shine stage at Tomorrowland. So we've been in like many like very important, influential places to kind of show what Shine is all about.
I'm really interested to see what it shines to be like as a daytime event, afternoon. Is that a challenge musically? A different challenge?
Well, the thing is, my DJ colleagues, they are like amongst the finest you can find. And I'm pretty sure whoever is scheduled to play at that time will do their very, very best to kind of capture the atmosphere and the feeling and translate it into music. I'm playing in the dark. So it's like, I'm pretty much, for me, it's like straightforward banging.
You've got to excuse me looking to the left because I've got like the lineup here with Ali and Fila, John O'Callaghan, John Double O Fleming, many other artists. It's a great lineup, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you actually go about curating those sort of lineups, what do you look for? Because obviously it's got to flow musically, isn't it, for you? Because I know you're very musical.
Yeah, well, so that's obviously a very, very important
Mm.
aspect. And then it's also about, you know, what I enjoy about the lineup is the fact that every single DJ has like its own unique sound, or call it interpretation of what electronic music should sound like. And I think this is what's interesting to the people. There's a lot of musical substance. There are not just like some TikTok techno DJs or something that sort of play for a 10-second cool video for the social medias. They are there for the audience. They are there to play music for that time frame they are booked for and that they are playing for. And this is really, really important. And this is how we curate. The team sits together and we all kind of like make the decision. It's not just me having an idea. It's all kind of like bounce back between Nick and Alexa in my office. And then we gonna actually we come up with a sort of like a game plan. And then obviously it's also down to the availability of the artist we would like to book.
Of course, yeah, yeah, because you can't book everyone all the time. Um, that week is Ibiza Trance week, and it's perfect for you because you're the Thursday, aren't you? So you've
Yes.
got you're squeezed in between a couple of really great events, but you're like the daytime event. So you're going to have like the Amnesia event at the beginning of the week, the Godskitchen at the weekends. So it's going to be there's so many people coming over for that
Yeah,
particular week.
but it's like it's not just a daytime event,
Yeah,
you know.
it's the
It
evening.
starts in a late
Yeah,
afternoon into the evening, and then we continue throughout the night inside.
yeah.
So it's pretty much a very wholesome experience.
I want to explain something, yeah, because a lot of people who are watching this or listening to this probably don't know that 528 has an indoor club. Because if they went to Zoo Project many years ago, it finished at midnight. They never used the indoor. I think they did. I think they called it the rabbit hole many, many years ago, but it wasn't a massive use of it because they were just a daytime event. But this year, they've developed the indoor venue that goes on till I think 4, pretty much all night.
Yeah.
But it's a stripped back, raw, underground venue. And I've seen some recent videos of it in there, and it looks wild. So,
Yeah.
is that where you're playing?
No, actually, I'm playing outside,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm having a bit of an early one, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
And then you know, I get to enjoy myself and listen to, you know, some of my favorite DJs. So I'm really looking forward to it, just like from that perspective as well.
And you've got such a big lineup that it's just going to be fantastic musically from the start to the end.
Absolutely.
You were also in Ibiza the longest standing headliner for Amnesia when it came to Cream. Is that correct?
I think so. As
Yeah, yeah,
I'm definitely having the longest running residency kind of thing because I came there in '99 and I played there full on seasons except of doing the pandemic
yeah.
every year. So
Are you looking forward to going back there?
absolutely, it's always special. It's like the thing is I've I've seen it develop. I've seen it sort of like fall apart. I've seen it change. I've seen like all these different aspects of
Yeah.
Ibiza, and despite the fact that it's a lot about clubbing. There's also so many amazing, more like intimate places like restaurants or little like beaches, little areas where you can just like hang with friends. On just simply the nature is beautiful,
Yes.
and all that is to be discovered too.
I totally identify that as well because I don't party anymore. I've got family and I'm a bit too old for all that now. So I've actually discovered that when I go back to Ibiza now, I'm very much discovering that other side of it because before it was just a party island to me. I've started discovering that other beautiful side of it, experiencing that.
Many people don't even go north, but you should
Mm,
really do that.
absolutely, absolutely. And with Amnesia, I mean, it's personally is one of my favorite clubs. I think it's held it just still it feels the same as it used to. It has that
Well,
beautiful atmosphere.
Well, I haven't been back
No,
since Cream left Amnesia, so I don't know what it's like now. So to me, going there on Saturday and doing like a special set for the Godskitchen, I don't know what you call it, reunion or
it's
happening.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's kind of just a return to we've done the first one
Yeah,
in obviously you played in Birmingham when it was
yeah,
absolutely freezing, and this is
yeah,
kind of the part two to that. I think we always wanted to do a part two, and it has a history in Ibiza. So basically, it's just the part two. And
yeah.
so you haven't been back for all those years. I
No,
had no idea.
it's
Not even when you're on holiday.
No. So it's gonna be the very first time. So not just it's gonna be nostalgic in a few ways. And so it's yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
That's really interesting. Okay, and can I ask you? I always ask artists: is do you still feel nervous before you go on stage? Is-
Mm, I w- I wouldn't call it nervous. I'm excited because nervous to me has a bit of a negative connotation to it. But whatever can go wrong, it's out of my hand. I can tell you, I'm professional enough to be as prepared as I can be. I'm as fired up as I can be. And so, if there's a power cut or something to be nervous about, it's out of my hands anyway. So I'm just really, really excited.
Yeah, so I think the butterflies in his stomach. I think some of the DJs are referring to excitement. Maybe nervous is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right there. Just speaking to you before about John Double O Fleming, you have a great
Yeah.
relationship with him. How
Yeah.
far does that relationship go back? That must be
Oh,
so many
that's,
years.
yeah, I think it's definitely mid 90s. I think it's like, we played in different places together. And I remember once, I don't know what airport in the UK that was, but we were like, on the same very early flight back to London, me obviously connecting back to Berlin, but he going home. And I remember it's like sitting there and we were just like talking and getting along. And at the time we both had rabbits, so we were talking about that a lot. And I don't know, we always stayed in contact. And like, John is also one of those, let's say, if he calls someone musical purist, then it's almost kind of, I don't know, he has a very clear idea what he
Yes.
wants to do. At the same time, he's such an open, positive character. He reads, he feels the audience. And that combination is what makes a DJ set special. It's like this is what I would say is the essence of what I try to do as well. I always have a very clear idea about the sound and the music I want to play, and it's down to the interaction with the audience. And this is what John is doing. He mastered that. And so, yeah, we go back many, many years. And, I've been an admirer and a fan of his work for forever.
Yeah, we talked about you quite a lot, and he always said that he never pre-plans anything. He's got the 5,000-6,000 tunes ready, and he'll just read wherever the crowd is about to go. And I take it you're similar to that, are you?
Well, the thing is, because of my setup, I'm slightly more prepared because it's like, I don't really play with CD players or like the USB stick kind of thing. I have like more like a mobile recording studio with me with like two computers and of course a mixer, but also with MIDI controllers, keyboards. So I'm able to really dig into the track in itself, not just the track, but the different elements and different parts. But nevertheless, it's like John and I, we did like a really special show together in where was it? I know it was in Canada. Um, we did a back to back there, and it was so cool. So basically, on the right side of the stage of the mixer, I had my setup with my things, and he had his like three CD players on the left, and we were just bouncing back and forth, and it was such a vibrant, incredible experience because you had this amazing talented DJ with, as you said, 5,000-6,000 tunes on the fly, ready, feeling it. I had my stuff going in, basically putting extra hi-hats onto his production, onto his track, putting like extra stuff here, playing an extra bass line, going all back and forth. It was just like a it was a phenomenal experience. It was just like very intense and people really enjoyed it. So, but something like this is very difficult to do with just any DJ. You need someone who really feels, loves, and breathes electronic music to the extent as John does, as an example.
Because you don't do back-to-backs, obviously, because of your setup and just of the reason that you just explained. Um,
Yeah,
but but yeah, John did mention that particular moment,
mm,
and he said it was absolutely fantastic.
it
Um,
was.
and will we be hearing at 5 to 8 any of your new music? Because you've had a new album out, The World Is Ours. I
Yeah,
take it you'll be dropping some of your new tracks from that.
of course. I
Yes.
mean, I also made like a lot of new music since then,
Yeah.
and so it's like so. I think my sets always consist of like something sort of new that people cannot have heard of because I just finished it in the studio. And also, it's like on social media, there's always a request. Can you please play For an Angel? Can you play Time of Our Lives? Can you play Home? And of course, I'm putting all these kind of things in. And there are going to be a few surprises, of course. But all in all, as I mentioned before, in Ibiza, it's also about dropping those momentum momentum of like this huge Ibiza tracks, you know, and so something like this will definitely, you know, all this kind of stuff is going to be somehow in the set. I can't tell you yet what it's going to be like. As I said, so far I have an idea in my head what I want to do, but it's always down to the interaction with the audience and the moment and however everyone feels.
I can't wait for everyone to see this because I know everyone's already excited already. Because as soon as we post anything about that week, the interaction we get on social media is crazy, absolutely crazy. From Godskitchen through to the Kevin and Perry events, through to even the small boat parties that we do. And Shine is slap bang in the middle of it as well, offering something that is completely different because it's a day into the night, and Trance with that amazing lineup. You've been going from 1999. Ibiza is always evolving. We could never get away from that fact. And there's always a lot of positive stuff, but there's always a lot of negative stuff. What's the biggest change you've seen throughout your experience of Ibiza?
Well, like it's a bit that like generally speaking, maybe a shift in the crowd, pretty much based on what is offered on the island in terms of events. There are
Mm.
not so many events anymore that really are for music lovers, that really are for people that go to want to kind of drift off with their favorite kind of music. It's more a seen and be seen kind of like um, scenario in most of the venues these days. So that obviously has changed. But then again, there are still a lot of places. There are still amazing artists. There are still amazing promoters that really care about their audience and the music that's being played, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's what we are there for. And you said yourself the interactions like on social media, whenever you just mention any of the events during that week, is phenomenal because people looking forward to that. I think people don't want to be just kind of like moved in like cattle and just like, okay, now take your phone out, take a picture of the headliner, and then go. People want to just like go find their space within the club, within the venue, and be there for the night with their friends and have the night of their life. And I think this is what we're going to see next week.
I think you've really picked the right venue for it as well. 528. It's really become something this year. And the comments that I'm seeing, I haven't really seen anything bad about it. So, but I do know that people who are there for the passion of the music are attending 528. And I know what you mean by people go there to be seen, Instagram, stuff like that. Like I remember when I first started doing my first seasons, everybody was there for the music, like 2000, 2001, 2000, all
There
about the
wasn't
music.
any, there wasn't an
Yeah,
iPhone.
yeah,
So,
there was nothing. And but now the shift has gone into that. Look at me, I've been here, and it's a lot more commercial. But the 528 Ibiza has that rawness still and that energy. So I'm really, really excited about it. And if you could relive one Ibiza summer, um, which one would it be? Is there any particular summer that really stood out for you?
nah, I don't think there's like one particular one, because the thing is, to me, um, you know, I went there so many times. If you think about it, it's like, let's say 20 plus years, 10 times every year. So do the math, how many times I've been to Ibiza, to just like pick one summer or one night or one something. It's simply impossible.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is because I can pick some years because I live there all year round, and I remember having a really good year and a bad year, and then but obviously you're constantly moving and touring and flying and going here, there, and in the studio because you're still producing a lot of music all the time, aren't you? And
Yeah.
pushing the envelope always to try and get new stuff out there, which I have seen. And finally, is there any one track that sums up Ibiza for you?
Um, I wouldn't say it's just one. It's like, there are a few tracks from like, let's say, different times. I remember once, I played on a Wednesday before coming to Ibiza. I played at BCM in Mallorca, and Des Mitchell gave me a test pressing of a record. And so the next night, I just put it on, skipped through, and I put it on. I played it, and everyone went completely bonkers. There was "Welcome to the Dance" by Des Mitchell, which then ended up the summer being one of like the biggest tunes in Ibiza. We released it on Bandit Records. Similar experience with Thrill Seeker, Synesthesia, as an example. And obviously, I can't imagine a set of myself in Ibiza without "For an Angel" is simply kind of like one of those tracks that seems to be embedded in the DNA of that album, of that island these days, or throughout all the time in a way. So there are many of those tracks, and so there's a lot of music that made its way through Ibiza, and I'm pretty sure we're going to hear a lot of it next week.
This is really exciting. Paul, I want to thank you for your time. And I know you're a very busy man, and I'm really glad we managed to squeeze this Ibiza special in before 528 because it's not long. So I've got to get into the editing studio and turn this around as quickly as possible. But Paul, thank you very much, and I'll be over there. I'm flying over on Saturday. When are you arriving?
On Wednesday, but not next week, the week after.
Yes, and then you're staying for a good few days
until Monday.
Yeah,
So we have
we'd have some
so
fun.
we're gonna get some sleep and some good food in.
Yes, we certainly are. Paul, thank you very much for your time, and you have a lovely evening. I really appreciate you taking the time
Thank
out
you.
this evening. Take care.
Thank you very much, and likewise.
Cheers.
Have a good one.